First of all, why, oh why, did you not vote for that withdrawal agreement? Tell us that you now officially regret it.
Well, I didn't vote for it because it didn't come before Parliament. So we had 2 years of the Tory party negotiating with itself. Then we had 4 months of small groups of Labour people negotiating with Theresa May and a team. And after those 4 months, we got to the point where a withdrawal agreement bill was about to come before Parliament, and then she resigned. So I didn't vote for it because I couldn't. I would have certainly supported it at second reading. I was making the case that Labour ought to do that. So the details could be thrashed out at committee stage. That is how Parliament works. That is how Parliament ought to work.
Nowadays, we love politicians to say they have regrets and say that they would have... I mean, do you now feel, in retrospect, now we're looking over the potential of a no-deal Brexit, that had you lobbied some of the Labour side to support it a little bit earlier, we might not be in this position?
Well, I did say to the Labour side, my own side, that we ought to be supporting it at second reading, but it was too late because she'd resigned. And, you know, much as I'd like to say that we all share equal responsibility for this, the truth is that the negotiations with the EU and with Parliament didn't even begin until a matter of weeks before she actually resigned from her post. The row was happening within the Tory party. The rest of us were shut out of the conversation. I'd love to say I see a prospect of that changing. I don't really. But what I think this has done is concentrate minds in Parliament. No deal, it has always been the default position if we don't agree an alternative. For 3 years across the political spectrum, we've proven that we can't agree an alternative. We've only got a few weeks left now. It may be too late.
Do you think if the same bill, exactly as last voted, came before Parliament next week, it would succeed?
Well, there are certainly politicians at the moment from across the political spectrum who are working together to see if we can find a way to give Parliament the opportunity to vote for that bill as it was drafted but never put before Parliament.
So Vernon Bogdanor, who you shared a train ride with on the way up, who's just been telling us that the fault for all this mess is all of those MPs who weren't supportive enough of Theresa May's agreement. What did you tell him?
Well, I just think it's a rewriting of history. I mean, for 3 years we were saying to the Prime Minister, you have got to reach out across the House. Why? Because she doesn't have a majority, because nobody won the referendum by a large majority. So there are lots of different views in this country and lots of different views in the House of Commons that had to be heard and had to be incorporated into whatever came next if we were to have any shot at a sustainable solution post-Brexit. And for 2 years that was completely and utterly ignored, and we finally had got to the stage where it looked to me like the Prime Minister had accepted that the hardliners on her own side were never going to compromise, that she had to reach out, that there had to be a consensus built in the centre ground in Britain that would help us move forwards, and then she resigned. I mean, it's been deeply frustrating, not just for parliamentarians but for the whole country, and I think wherever you are, leave or remain, I think there is a general agreement that none of us come out of this well, that we've got to do better next time. The question is, can we? And we've got a few weeks left until we leave the EU. Can those of us who are opposed to no deal now start to think seriously about what we have in common and what we want, not what divides us and not what we don't want? And that is still a very live question, and that's one of the reasons why I'm sitting in this field with you on a Saturday afternoon, because we've got to start talking and listening to one another.